Hi guys, and welcome back to Kit Car Director and MK Sportscars. Very, very, very busy workshop. Well, what we've got some new cars that have come in. I'm going to talk you through those, and also the existing projects that we've got going on, builds from MAZDA builds, K20s and the Rushes and etc. Booster cars, etc. We'll go through all of them, but we're going to start off with this one here. It's a little low cost. Low cost, if you don't know, for those of you who do or do not know, we're very much a home-built chassis. A lot of the time, there was a manufacturer early days, and even MK in the early days did an MK low-cost chassis, but they were sort of designed based on the book low-cost chassis and everything else. This was one of those cars. It's coming in, the gentleman's taken it to IVA. Unfortunately, it's failed the IVA test on, I'm going to say, a significant number of things. Well, I'm going to talk you through a couple of bits on it, not to slate the car, but for you, if you're building your own one at home, to try and learn a few things. So even in the cockpit area here, it kind of looks all nice. It's very nice done, nice padded seats and everything else. Looks all good and fantastic, neat, tidy. Yeah, that's great. But there's certain things that have to comply with IVA. Dashboard is one of them. This dashboard radius here needs to be 19mm, and if it's a solid component, it needs to be padded and be a 5mm radius. Unfortunately, that's a failure. Anything here within 127mm is not a problem, but all under here, all the wiring, things like this brake bias adjuster, they're all sharp edges. All the wiring needs to be neat and tidy and etc. under there as well, and that's a failure, unfortunately, things like that. The wing mirrors, probably for most of you who've built cars, you will see they're obvious. They're too low, unfortunately. They see the rear wing. The exhaust system down there is too noisy. You can see it's got an extremely small silencer. And silly little things like this, guys. If you do buy an aftermarket silencer and you're not sure, it's got a sharp edge on it here. Has to be 2.5mm. So a lot of it is sharp edges, and the braking system needs going through because it's only got a single cylinder master cylinder, not a dual system. You need a dual system because if one system fails, i.e. the front brakes fail, you've still got the rear brakes. This has got a single system on it, so that needs going through. So we're just having a look, giving the customer some feedback. He's built the car. He may end up doing and rectifying the problems, a lot of it himself, or we may go through it. But it's just some little examples that this car looks great from the outside. Done a nice build. Fit and finish is pretty good, you know, general condition, you know, but unfortunately when you start digging into it, and the other little thing that's in here, guys, LED headlights. He's got LED headlights on here. These are a no-no unless you can provide documentation that they are below 2000 lumens. If you can provide that, you can fit them in, but if not, unfortunately just fit the standard H bulbs and everything else. So unfortunately for IVA, little things like that you need to consider. Right, here we are. It's MK Ind R time. Well, it's an RR inferior, I suppose, because it's got rose joints on it. But it was an early R chassis converted to a rose jointy one at some point by a customer. It's got a little 929 fuel injection engine in. Essex customer, Essex-based customer. He's only had the car 6 or 7 months now, doing a couple of bits for him. More of a safety thing more than anything. The diff had a bit of play in it, he thought, etc. with test driving it. It's more to do with the drivetrain than anything else. These bike engines do have a little bit of play, a little bit of knock. First and second gear, especially, you get that. You'll know, if you've got a bike engine, the little clunk in the second gear that it always does because you're going past the neutral gear. Main thing was braking system. Brakes were pretty poor, should I say, non-existent. We figured out in the end that where somebody had taken the interior panel out and screwed the seatbelt back in, the washer on it had actually crushed the brake line. So the copper brake line that's in there, which I think I've got, here we are. So this is the offending article that if you fit your washers and your brake lines in, make sure they're clear of anything on, because that's been crushed to bits. Do you want to see something rather dashing? It's a pun, yes it is. It's a carbon dashboard. Joseph, I think, has knocked it out of the park on this one. This is beautiful. Look at this. Amazing. Carbon dashboard, gauges, all the bezels. Super nice, carbon sleeved. I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful in there. Such a nice place it's going to be to fit. We've got the padded tunnel top where you want it in black. We do carbon, of course, as well. We'll switch it on. These bad boys, look at him. Nice. Everything's all wide now on this vehicle. Everything's done. Side lights, fog lights, all operational. Super Trick's going to have wipers and washers and everything else on this. Total miles, 0 at the moment, and I'm sure a customer can't wait to stick some miles in this. All the branded gauges have gone in, got the MK logos on them, carbon dash, centre padded interior. We've gone round into here to the engine bay with got on the link pipe for the air filter, and that's all been blacked out as well to make that look a bit nicer and a bit tidier as well. So final fit really on the body panels and everything else. By putting in the seats, and we'll be dropping it down in the next week or so, probably next week, probably onto Geo and everything else. This will be rolling very, very shortly. Seats to go in. I think the customer's coming to visit it to do a final check on spec and what he's looking at. But yeah, super close now. And then just the exhaust system to go on. This also having a carbon silencer. He's having a carbon in it, Joseph. This one, carbon silencer on it. It's got the freewheel. Is that working? Go on, Joseph. Give us the freewheel. See if it works. Right, there it does. Brilliant. Yeah, their horn works. Yeah. Indicators, all of that, all operational. So that's trick. That's all on the steering wheel. Yeah, great. Looking super sharp, super clean. I mean, I've got to be honest, that is so nice. I'd buy it myself. Right, here we go. Another new project landed. So this is something a bit different again. We do see them occasionally, but not that often. Got an M&R here. So this was a customer who bought a kit. Basically, I think he's sat in his garage for quite a while now. He's reached out to us to basically build the car because it's not really got much done to it. Really, the tub's on, the interior's on, a few bits of suspension components, front and rear that have been bolted on, the steering column. The wiring loom's been, I'm going to say, loosely laid in. Well, that's going to be fun. What do you reckon, guys? Whoa, dear, that looks like fun, doesn't it? So yeah, fuel lines kind of laid in, I suppose, in there, etc. So quite like the colour. It's a bit different, bit unique. So this build you'll see progressing as well. It's a MAZDA engine that's going in this particular one. I think it's got like a T28 flange turbo over there. In fact, the engine's over there, ready to go in. MAZDA running gear all the way through. So it's got MAZDA uprights. Our brake kit, by the looks of it, that's on it, does look like our one that he's used. So it's very different kind of car. M&R is a 7S silhouette car. It's definitely heavier than ours. We've tried to pick it up. She's heavy. It's definitely heavier than what we do. It's got a big cage on it as well. That again is taller than what we do, and very different way of doing things. It's like everything. There's 20 ways to skin a cat, as they say. How they mount a diff is very different. This is a round tube chassis, etc. as well, but different bodywork. That you only have one choice of the lights. You can't have oval. If you want, you have round. That is it. You can't have square LEDs or anything else because these body tubs come a bit like Westfield, really moulded. So you can only do round LED lights, not like what's on here. These are extremely popular. Elliot's going to swing around there. These are extremely popular because they're all in one, built in, neat, tidy, got the reflector, IVA compliant, got the reverse light. But yeah, that's going to be rolling along. You'll see this project evolve. We've got lots of parts to dive through. This only landed a couple of days ago. We've got lots of parts to go through and sort out what he needs in terms of, because I know he hasn't got everything here for the kit. But yeah, we'll work with the customer on that and what he wants and what spec and everything else. So yeah, you'll see this this evolve. But I think the engine's been dynoed on this, and I think he's somewhere in the 300 to 350 plus. Now I know what our Mazda turbo car went like. That was in that sort of region. We dialed it down to just over 300. It was a weapon. So this will be great. Once he gets this, I guarantee you the one thing he won't do, it will definitely put a smile on his face. Right, here we go, guys. This is a Indy Classic. It's got a little blacktop Z-Tech in here. In fact, I'll put the bonnet on this one for you, show you. Little blacktop Z-Tech, throttle bodies on there. It's got DTA management on it. It's had a little sniff on it. I think Boss Racing did a bit of a engine work it. I think it's just under a couple hundred horsepower. Customers come in. We've got to basically get it through, do a few bits to it to get it through its MOT. Now, the best thing about this, you've got a Sequential bike engine car there. This has got a little Quaif now in it. It's got a Quaif 6-speed Sequential gearbox in it. So that will transform this car in terms of performance. And while we're there, because the hole for the original Type 9 was there, and there's the hole that they've put in for the Quaif to go in. So while we're here, we put in a handbrake in, because it didn't have a handbrake. As you can see, it's been blanked off for MOT. Put the handbrake lever in. And a new hole and a new tunnel top fit and finish in there as well. So they're available. So if you look at Indy Classic and you want a new tunnel top, they're the GRP ones. We do those, or we do them. I think we've got them in carbon as well. So yeah, a few little bits and bobs to get it to MOT standard. But yeah, he loves it. Right, MA in rush time. We're working on with this. As you know, we're doing a lot of stuff IVA stuff on this car to get it all through. One thing it was a problem with was noise, where it was kicking out like 120 decibels. So Gary, we reached out to Gary on this one for the exhaust system. He's made us an exhaust system to come through. It comes, joins up to the silencer here, runs along, comes up, and we've put a rear exit, so we've done this before, rear exit silencer right under here, so the additional silencer as well. That should considerably reduce the noise. Bit of a pig of a job to get under, out, and because this is a DD on axle, the whole beam goes right across the back of the vehicle here. Like here, you've got a whole beam that goes across, that drops down, so trying to get clearance on full droop to make sure that clears under there, and obviously still having plenty of ground clearance. But yeah, this old bad boy, this should really make a big difference. We've just got to re-wad the exhaust, because this is the wadding that came out of it, and we're just going to take this apart, get it painted up, but that is not a lot of wadding. That's all that came out, and it's pretty nasty, to be honest with you. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to put some new stuff in this, sort that out. We've put a different cat in it, because the cat in it was not particularly good in terms of it had too much space around it, so air could flow around the cat. It needs to go through the cat. So we sorted it out with a new cone cat in there as well. So yeah, that's progress. There was a couple of days work to just even get the exhaust done. Bit of a pain of a job, but got to be done to get down to that 99 decibels required for IVA. So box tick. Right, here we are, our MX5 time, little project you've seen that we've been working on over the last few weeks, and well, progress really. All the bodywork has pretty much been dry fitted now, trimmed and everything else. Cameron's been on with that during the course this week, getting it all dry fitted, and then move along into the car, and then the final fitment of the electrics will go in. Adrian's working on that. We'll start the car. Once we start the car, they will then bond all the panels on and everything else afterwards. So yeah, it's progress, but it's hard to say because obviously it takes a little bit of time to trim all these up, but these all been rear tub, side panels down here ready to go. Doesn't look like we've changed much in that, but if I stick them two side panels on, rear tub and the scuttle and the bonnet and all of that, which is what it's done, half an hour later, it looks like a transformed car. I like that. That's nice. Retro Z-Tech. It's got a silver top, retro Ford. That looks amazing, that cone. You just pop as soon as I pop the bonnet, it's like, wow, that's engine bling. Do like that. It's got the standard track, it's not wide track, standard track front end, but it's a road car for the customer, so it's perfect. It's coming in, we're just going to do the brakes, have a look at that. Needs a brake system bleed and a few other bits, because I think it's had some upgraded calipers put on there. We're going to be fitting the carbon silencer, which is down here, ready to fit. And we're going to be checking things like, does it need an oil change, does it need a gearbox oil change, looking at the cam belt. Customers just basically to go over the car, see if it needs anything. If it does, we're not going to change it. If it doesn't need it, if the cam belt or the alternator belt and everything else looks good, we'll leave it alone. And if probably a top tip, guys, if you do your cam belt somewhere on here, just put the date on your cam sprockets here. You put the date on it there, and then you'll know when it was last changed, because it's not just mileage, it's how old they are. That could have been on there since 2007 for all I know, but I wouldn't have known that, and you know, it could perish. 10 years old, you need to be looking at changing it. These cars don't do the mileage, they don't do huge miles, but obviously if they're sitting around in a damp garage, it can still perish the rubber. So yeah, I don't know if Elliot's got some shots of the interior. That is very Caterham CSR interior looking. Someone's had a go at doing something a bit funky and a bit different in there, with stainless steel bar, padded tunnel tops, and doing all that sort of interior for it with Westfield seats. So yeah, someone's, you know, spent some time on this car, quite a bit of time, and it shows, because you can look around the car, it's detailed, it's clean, it's tidy, the right fittings used, engine bay's got a nice, you know, bling appeal when you pop the cover. So yeah, nice tidy car, a few little bits to tidy up on it for the customer. It only landed yesterday, so we'll get cracking on it. We're already cracking on with the exhaust and the other bits and that. We've got Peter working on this one. Yeah, tidy little number though. Right, here we go, chassis time, another one landed. Here we go, this is a Cup chassis that's landed. We've got a couple of these being picked by the parts team at the moment, ready to go out to Atomic and RLM. So they're getting built and out in kit form. If you're currently in the queue, then you're up here, so you can see where we're going. If you want to get yourself in the queue, or come down here and have a look in the factory. We've always got cars to try out. You can come and look at a chassis. We've generally got something kicking about. Hook us up on a phone call or an email. Right, that's it. Another week wrapped up. 3/4 of the way through January. Cars are rolling in, cars are rolling out. Westfield's being delivered back to customers. Other cars coming in, more Westfields coming in, more M&R projects coming in. It's been absolutely bonkers in the workshop. But yeah, that's it. Crazy, busy, busy. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you next week.
Hang on, you're not in the middle. You have to come and touch it.
You like me touching it, you said?
Yeah, not that.
Oh.
Someone else.